Are Codex Sinaiticus and Codex Vaticanus Arian corruptions? And yes, you should care. I'm part of a Facebook group that discusses textual criticism, particularly that of the New Testament. There was a little bit of a dust-up yesterday when I had better not say King James onlyist, but I really think he is. But just to be on the safe side, I'll say he is a strong TR only advocate. This brother has been on a 1 John 5:7 kick lately when, out of the blue, he made an accusation of, quote, evidence of Arian hands on Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, end quote. Here is where we must pause and ask, what is an Arian and why do we care? Arianism is a Christian heresy that declared that Christ is not truly divine, but a created being. According to the Alexandrian presbyter, Arius, from the 4th century, God alone is immutable and self-existent, and the Son is not God, but a creature with a beginning. Arius is known for the statement, if the Father begat the Son, then he who was begotten had a beginning in existence, and from this it follows, there was a time when the Son was not. This statement, there was a time when the Son was not, caused great division and contention in the early church, and it ought to still cause the same contention today when it's said. In order to ensure unity in the church, a recent convert to the Christian faith, Emperor Constantine, called an ecumenical council, now known as the First Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Here, three very important things happened. First, Arianism was declared to be a heresy. Secondly, we were given an important Greek word, homoousios. This word means one substance. It's used from the Council of Nicaea to describe that the Father and the Son are one substance, meaning that Christ is truly God. And thirdly, and my personal favorite, Nicholas, Bishop of Myra, famously or infamously lost his cool because of Arius' heretical argument. He stood up, crossed the room, and slapped Arius across the face. This is the guy that Santa Claus is based on. So when the song says, be good for goodness sake, now you know why. He supposedly spent the night in jail for it, but he has been commemorated in great pieces of art like this and like this. If only we had time machines. Wouldn't it be great to go back in time to see that? What? Wait, what? We actually have footage? Oh, okay, guys. We have actual footage of the incident. Let's roll the tape. Sorry, I could not resist. Now, let's try to get back to being serious. The accusation made in the group I mentioned earlier is this. Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, under the authority of the Arians and Constantius, cannot say that Jesus is God or equal with him without being banished from the Roman Empire. John 1:1, as a result, had to be written differently in these manuscripts. How did this poster insinuate such a corruption took place? Well, he asserted that the third clause of John 1:1 had been maliciously omitted from two ancient manuscripts. Let's look at John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Since these manuscripts were written in Greek, we need to know what John 1:1 in Greek is. NRK ein halagos, kai halagos ein proston theon, kai theos ein halagos. The assertion is that in these two critical codices, the Arians who denied the deity of Christ removed the clause, and the Word was God, from the text. But let's look at Sinaiticus. In this photo, we have John 1:1 in Codex Sinaiticus. And it's a little difficult to read for several reasons. One, this is an uncial or a majuscule text. It's all capital letters with no space in between the words, and a word may even start at the end of a line and continue on the next one. Nevertheless, we can still make out all of John 1:1 here in this image. The first clause is found in the first line, in arche ein ha logos. The second clause starts on the second line and ends on the third line, kai ha logos ein proston theon. The third clause begins at the end of the third line with kai and ends on the fourth line, kai theos ein ha logos. As you can see, the entire verse is clearly there without corruption from those who deny the deity of Christ. And the same goes for Vaticanus. In Vaticanus, John begins on the far right side of the page with Luke to the left of it. You can see the fanciful eta that begins the book. The first clause fills almost the entire first line, en arche en ha logos. The second clause begins at the end of the first line and consumes the entire second line, kai ha logos en proston theon. The third clause begins on the third line and goes all the way to the utos at the beginning of verse 2, kai theos en ha logos. Here again, the entire verse is clearly present without any Arian corruption. Codex Sinaiticus and Codex Vaticanus have not been corrupted by Arian hands, as alleged by this brother. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and just assume that he failed to read the next line and see the third clause in Sinaiticus. Unseals like this are hard to read. They're hard to read for me especially, when you're used to spacing between words, capital letters, and more. These manuscripts also use what is known as nominal sacra, or a shortened version of key words like God. For example, in both of these, you will see God written that way. You can see that the theta nu, with the line drawn over the top of it representing theon, the accusative form of the noun God. On the third line on the screen, you can see the theta sigma, with the line over it representing theos, the nominative case of God. Even with these abbreviations, the text is still complete. The deity of Christ is not omitted in any way at all. Why do we even waste time on such accusations? Well, it's simple. These accusations cast doubt on whether or not we can trust the Bible. Should we believe that a group of heretics corrupted two key codices that are critical to the modern critical text of the Greek New Testament that most modern Bible versions are based on? This poster is not the first to make an accusation that the Bible was corrupted by man-made ideas. Dan Brown, in his infamous The Da Vinci Code, asserts a great conspiracy by Emperor Constantine at the same Council of Nicaea we discussed earlier, where he invented the Trinity and ordered the manuscripts changed to add the deity of Christ where previously the scriptures supposedly had stated that he was a mere mortal. You and I can be confident that we have the preserved Word of God, unmanipulated by the schemes of man. No, not all translations read the same. But when the same hermeneutical principles and rules of interpretation are applied to both the King James Version and those versions faithfully translated from the Greek critical text, the doctrine and the message is the same.